Right lads, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. The last video I'll be doing on this Premier League season as the 2022-2023 Premier League season comes and goes. And yeah, it's reached its conclusion now. And thank fuck, as a Chelsea fan, this season is over. I didn't even watch our game today because there was more important matters in this Premier League season today, which was the relegation battle where Everton have got themselves over the safety line. They will be playing Premier League football next season, but quite the opposite for Leicester City and Leeds United, who do drop into the Championship. Leeds after 3 seasons, Leicester after, I want to say, 8 or 9 seasons, and even still, for Leicester City to be relegated, Leeds, fair enough, because although it does seem weird to see them go down again because they're such a massive club and only really come up a few years ago, but they've been asking for it really, especially with how poor they were over the last 2 seasons, and this season were absolutely pathetic, for use of a better word, to be honest. But Leicester, it feels a little bit weirder, given the fact that, obviously, only 2 years ago, they were just about marginally missing out on the final day of the season for Champions League qualification, and that was seen as a failure, and even still came 8th last season, I think it was, and that was seen as a massive failure. And yeah, this season it's just gone absolutely the wrong way for Leicester, and they will be paying the punishment for it. They will be paying the price for it. They have dropped into the Championship next season, and look, it's just been an absolute nightmare season for Leicester. And if you said at the start of the season, if anyone predicted Leicester to go down, I mean, absolutely nobody thought Leicester would go down at the start of the season, but as I said, it's just been an absolute nightmare season, and it just goes to show, I said this on Leicester a few weeks ago on this channel, that it just goes to show how competitive and how tough the Premier League has become in recent years, that if you're not absolutely inch perfect in your recruitment, your style of play, the manager you appoint, the system you play, the quality of personnel, and just how well of a run club you are, if you're not absolutely inch perfect, you're going to find it very difficult to stay in this league. And obviously you can say the opposite about Everton, because obviously they have been horrendously run over the last few years, and it is catching up in them a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't get their act together next season, if they were to, join Leicester in the Championship next season or get relegated next season. But yeah, like I said, I mean, just some strange decisions from Leicester over the last year or two, really. I mean, the recruitment hasn't been anywhere near as good as it has been in recent years, in the last 2 years. And the one for me, right, that's weird, is to sell Kasper Schmeichel, to let him go to Nice and not replace him, and have your second goalkeeper, Danny Ward, just starting for most of the season. He obviously had a really poor season. Then you have Daniel Everson come into the team, who I actually think was quite decent, to be fair, but that didn't sit right with me whatsoever, is selling Kasper Schmeichel and not replacing him. I just found that so weird. And obviously Leicester, with Jamie Vardy obviously dropping off this season, and Kelechi Iheanacho and Patson Daka not being able to find the same consistency in front of goal over the course of this 38-game season. And to be quite honest, for the majority of the season, maybe not in the last few weeks of the season, but for the majority of the season, James Maddison was looking like their only ray of hope for survival, to be honest, and he literally carried them on his bloody back for most of this season. And yeah, I mean, like I said, they've paid the price for it, and Leicester will be amongst the Championship next season. And the same with Leeds, who, like I said, have been absolutely horrendous this season and showed little to no fight in this relegation battle. I think one of the main issues for Leeds is a lack of leadership, a lack of bottle in this team. I've said multiple times in this channel as well about Leeds that I think their biggest problems happen to be the 2 biggest problems in football, which is keeping the ball out of their own net and putting the ball in the opposition net, which sounds obvious, but they've got no out-and-out goal scorer with Patrick Bamford, who's obviously massively struggled this season, and Jorginho Rutter, who obviously has failed to make an impact immediately after joining Leeds from Hoffenheim in January. And then at the back as well, they've not really been able to, find a sustainable defence that's going to be able to keep the ball out of the net, even with Sam Allardyce. And yeah, conceded 4 goals today at home to Spurs, who have been absolutely treacherous this season. And yeah, Leeds going down with a whimper. Leicester, not so much, because they did, in fairness, get a win today against West Ham, a 2-1 win. And unfortunately for them, it was out of their hands, because Everton, who did get themselves a massive win over this Bournemouth team, who, make no bones about it, were going for it, Bournemouth, in fairness, and Everton did really well, were really resolute, and just held on for that 1-0 win and defended really well with Jordan Pickford, James Tarkowski, Connor Cody, Yerry Mina, etc., who put in a shift defensively, in fairness to them. And yeah, I mean, the next stage for Everton has to be getting out of this relegation battle on a consistent basis, because like you've seen Connor Cody say and Jordan Pickford say in their post-match interviews, this is the 2nd season in a row now that Everton have been down there in the thick of the relegation battle and only really survived in the later weeks of the season, to be fair. And I mean, it was so close today, Everton, and if Bournemouth scored, there was 1 goal in the difference. If Bournemouth scored, or if Everton didn't get that goal from Decore, Leicester would have been safe and Everton would have been going down for the first time in their history. So it just goes to show the fine margins in the Premier League this season, and Everton have just about done it, in fairness to them. They've scraped over the line, and you know what? Congratulations to Sean Dyche and this Everton team, because I mean, it was looking bleak for Everton Everton, and Sean Dyche came in there, taking over from Frank Lampard, and I think got a bit of a reaction out of this Everton team. Don't get me wrong, it's not been pretty by any stretch of the imagination, and they haven't been absolutely brilliant Everton by any stretch of the imagination, but Sean Dyche has been able to grind out results with this Everton team and just about keep them safe, which I think is an absolutely brilliant achievement, especially given the fact that without Dominic Calvert-Lewin, they're massively missing the main player in this team, especially for a Sean Dyche system, which is a striker with aerial capabilities and is able to play with his back to goal and is able to press from the front as well. So I think Sean Dyche deserves a lot of credit, and I think he is most certainly the main man to keep Everton, or to take on this Everton team going into next season now, and hopefully for his sake and the Everton fans' sake, especially with that new stadium coming into fruition in the next few years, that Everton under Sean Dyche will be able to kick on now and not be in this absolute stressful fucking relegation battle this time next season. So, but yet the final table: Everton 17th, 36 points, Leicester 18th, 34 points, Leeds 19th, 31 points, and Southampton, who did record a 4-4 draw against Liverpool at St Mary's, who were already relegated a few weeks ago, and bow out in style with a 4-4 draw and 8-goal thriller against Liverpool, with 25 points at the bottom of the table. And for the first time since 2017-18, and it doesn't really happen too often in fairness, all three promoted teams in Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest and Fulham all survive in the Premier League this season, and Leicester, Leeds and Southampton will be joining the Championship next season, with Burnley, Sheffield United and Luton. Video coming soon on Luton, stay tuned in the channel for that one, a very detailed video on Luton and what to expect from them next season and how they got promoted. But yeah, nevertheless, the domestic season is over. We have the FA Cup final, we have the Champions League final, where City will be, the focus will be on them to do the treble obviously. But yeah, as far as the Premier League is concerned, it's been an absolutely brilliant season in my personal opinion, even as a Chelsea fan. Just looking at it from a neutral's perspective, I think it's been a really good season in terms of the top four race, the title race obviously, and the relegation battle overall. So yeah, that's it. I mean, this season, it feels like it's gone on forever with the World Cup, but at the same time it feels like it only started yesterday. It's a really weird season, a season like no other, with the World Cup obviously stuffed in the middle of it. But yeah, I think it's been a really good season, a really enjoyable season from a neutral's perspective. Obviously, if I put on my Chelsea hat with regards to my outlook on this season, it's absolute fucking depression session. But yeah, hopefully we can go again now next season under Mauricio Pochettino. But we go again in August, we do it all over again, ladies and gentlemen. But yep, stay tuned on the channel, lads, because during the summer I'm going to be doing a lot of transfer window content, whether it be individual transfers that do happen in the transfer window overall, or I'm going to be doing a new series on this channel over the course of the transfer window, where I go through every single Premier League club on how they should act in the transfer window in terms of dealing with a realistic budget, the players they should sign within that realistic budget, players they should let go of, and how I think they'll look next season with, you know, the certain managers they have and the certain systems that they will be looking to deploy next season in the Premier League. So I'm really looking forward to that one, so stay tuned on the channel for that one. And then we go again in August with my Premier League predictions. I will be doing a reaction to my Premier League predictions in the next few days as well, so stay tuned on the channel for that one as well. But yeah, just really quickly, in terms of how I think that Leicester, Leeds and Southampton will be able to fare in the Championship next season, I think, to be honest, if you're looking at the most likely team to come back up at the first time of asking, to be honest, as weird as it sounds given how the table finished, but I think Southampton, with Russell Martin, who's obviously looking to be confirmed as their new manager, I think Southampton will have the players to be able to come back up, especially with the young players they've got, with Gavin Bazunu, for example, Armel Bella-Kotchap if he stays, Kyle Walker-Peters if he stays, Carlos Alcaraz if he stays, Sam Edozie, who I think will really explode next season in the Championship, Sekou Mara as well. I think Leicester will have a good chance as well now, even with the fact that they will lose players like James Maddison, for example, Harvey Barnes, Wilfred Ndidi, Yuri Tielemans, Timothy Castagna maybe. But I think Leicester will have enough to be able to strengthen a little bit in that team and have the quality to be able to, you know, navigate their way through the Championship next season. So I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if at least two of these teams go back up at the first time of asking next season. I think Leeds will struggle, to be honest. I think Leeds, although they do have a Championship level squad, I think that there's not a lot of standout players in that team that would be picked up by Premier League clubs, which could work in their favour, but at the same time shows the lack of quality in their team really. But yep, regardless, it will be really interesting now to see the Championship next season, especially with Ipswich, Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday or Barnsley joining these teams in the Championship next season. And as much as I, you know, follow the Premier League, and the Premier League is my main league to look at and analyse, I think the Championship is going to be really interesting next season. So we're already looking ahead to next season, a bit too early for that one, so we'll just reflect on this season. And like I said, what an absolutely brilliant season it was. Man City winning the league, Arsenal, Man United and Newcastle getting in the top four, Liverpool and Brighton for Europa League football, Aston Villa, who secured their place under Unai Emery in the Conference League next season, and then of course, like I keep saying in this video, Leicester City, Leeds United and Southampton. Condolences and commiserations to those three teams as they are condemned to relegation to the Championship next season. So I think that is where we're going to leave it for this season, and thank you very much to everyone who has stuck by this channel over the course of this season. Obviously I only really started making content again on this channel for the second half of the season post World Cup, but yeah, it's been an absolute roller coaster in these last 6 months. I feel like I'm getting emotional right now. But yeah, leave a like on the video if you did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. It would be massively appreciated because we are looking to hit 3,000 subscribers on this channel as soon as we can possibly get there. And turn on that notification bell as well because you'll never miss one of these absolutely brilliant videos, said no one ever. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for watching and I'll chat to you later.